Welcome back to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. As always, we appreciate you listening. Please rate us on all the podcast platforms. Like, subscribe, comment, share wherever else you're listening, and enjoy the show. All right, welcome back to another episode. We appreciate you coming back. As always, please like, subscribe, comment, and share. That is our handshake agreement with you. We give you all the free content you can listen to, and you hit the follow, like, subscribe, whichever button you're allowed to push, you push it. Even if you want to rate us, poorly, go ahead and do that. If you want to rate us with a 5-star review, go ahead and do that too. That is our handshake agreement with you. You listen to a show, you press any kind of button on that platform you're listening to, and that will count as our handshake. We want to thank Adam Chubbuck with Douglas Realty in Pasadena, Maryland. That's TACMD.com, TACMD.com. With the real estate market doing what it's doing, you definitely want to contact Adam. Here in some places, it's becoming more of a buyer's market than a seller's market, just because there's more inventory out there. I could be dead wrong, though. The person that does know the answer to that is Adam Chubbuck at TACMD.com. That's TACMD.com. Go schedule your appointment today to talk to Adam, or maybe you'll just get him on the phone right away. Want to thank Adam for sponsoring these shows. Been a long time sponsor, and we appreciate that. But he's also a good person, and we appreciate that as well, because we need more good people in the world. Interesting topic for today. We're going to run through a lot of current events, probably not hitting too deep on any of them because there are a lot of them. And then we're also going to talk about some weight loss stuff toward the end of this episode because we know that's what you all want to hear. But this time I think you're probably in a better place than me. So we shall see.
Yeah. Well,
we don't know.
Up and down.
You won't know until 45 minutes from now.
Yeah. Cliffhanger.
That's right. It's about time we did something right.
Yeah.
Because apparently our thumbnails don't bring the viewers in on YouTube to our audio-only podcast. I tried to figure out how to take our audio and turn it into those the talking babies.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be our faces; it'd be the babies.
Right.
And the babies would be talking with our voices.
Did it work?
No.
Oh.
I can't figure this shit out. I am not that technically inclined.
The AI can.
I looked for any AI that could do it, and none of them seem to allow you to upload the audio and have them just create the babies talking. Now, I could be dead wrong. By the way, if you're an AI expert, we would pay you to make this work because that would probably increase our views on YouTube quite a bit. So the reason why we put it on YouTube is because it goes onto YouTube Music, so people can listen to podcasts there. But on regular YouTube, there's no video, so it doesn't do very well because people expect video. They click on it and they just see a static image. They're like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yeah,
it's just two dudes talking over a picture. This sucks, and so they click off.
The picture doesn't even change.
It doesn't. No, it's the thumbnail, and so YouTube creates it for us. So it grabs it from our RSS feed, just like every other podcast does. And then it just takes the thumbnail and just creates a static image, and that's the video to put it onto YouTube. And then for YouTube Music, it doesn't even show that. So like people that are listening to podcasts on YouTube Music, which is what ultimately took over for Google Podcasts, that's no longer available. So people use YouTube Music for podcasts now as the Google product for podcasts. Because as everyone knows, Google owns YouTube. So that's where all of that is. So again, if you would like to like, subscribe, comment, and share, we would appreciate it. So basically the rundown of all of the current events. A Minnesota state senator got shot in her home, her and her husband. The Minnesota state senator apparently voted against illegal immigrants getting Medicaid in the state of Minnesota. I do believe the bill ultimately passed, but that does seem to be the motivation for the shooter. Information is still coming out about that, though. So, unlike everybody else, we are going to hold judgment on the person itself and whether it was politically motivated or not, although I would imagine that a state senator being shot probably was politically motivated.
I mean, they probably weren't fighting over a parking spot.
Yeah, and generally, I'm also going to hypothesize that it probably wasn't a right-leaning person if the person just voted to not give Medicaid benefits to an illegal immigrant. I'm going to assume it was someone shot them for not towing the party line. But that's all speculation.
Yeah.
And this is an opinionated show. Everything said here is an opinion. Nothing is fact, as always, because we know you're not coming here for facts. because we haven't given you a 1. And this is episode 219. It has been 218 episodes so far of no facts whatsoever.
Right.
Only
you're
feelings.
expecting facts.
Yeah. This is not a news show.
Right.
This is we're going to tell you a headline and then give you opinions.
Which is kind of like all the news shows.
That's correct. Yes. Think of us like TMZ, only not as disgusting.
Right. Not as good looking.
Well, I beg to differ. I believe we're handsome. Harvey Levin is not a good looking dude. Come on.
I haven't watched the show. Wasn't Billy Bush on that show? No, he was Access Hollywood.
That's E Hollywood Network. TMZ is Harvey Levin and the dude with the dreads.
Okay.
The guy, the 106 and Park wannabe guy.
Yeah.
Who isn't the same guy. I would say we're much better looking than them.
Yeah, probably. See, that's how much TV I watch.
I haven't seen that show in so long. I don't even know if those two are still doing it.
Yeah, who knows? Is that the one where they would start out like in their little newsroom?
Yeah.
And then he'd dispatch all the scumbag reporters to their stories.
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey, you go cover J-Lo's new handbag.
Right.
And you go cover one of the Kardashian whores. And you go, yeah, okay.
So there was that happened. We talked about the Elon and Trump breakup. Mm-hmm. Although Elon seems to, he sent out a tweet and said, maybe I shouldn't have put those tweets out. So once they started to threaten the SpaceX contracts, he's like, oh, maybe I took a little step too far. Yes, because you're a dick.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong. I think the man is brilliant as far as engineering goes. Like, the funny thing is, no one even talks about probably his greatest engineering company, which is the Boring Company. Mm-hmm. And this guy has got a way with names.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's so boring. No, boring as in under the ground, you assholes.
Yeah.
Like, his company can literally dig tunnels faster than any company out there. And for less money. Mm-hmm. Because he created a boring machine that can get under the ground and cut faster and less expensive. Could literally change infrastructure in this country. Like, if you ever go to Vegas, go underground and try the Tesla. I think it's like a taxi network. It was supposed to be for the Hyperloop. Or like a Hyperloop train or something like that, but they ended up scrapping that. And so basically now it's all full self-driving Teslas as cabs that just ride on the track. It's not really a track. There's like wheels on the side.
Okay.
So like it kind of, and like it's got a raised, what's the thing? Curb. It's to make sure that it can't go off the thing. But like full self-driving now, like it's not an end-all be-all. Like I guess it's worse in city stuff, but this is just, it's one-way tunnels. So like it can just go straight, it stops at the thing, and it's done. It's just a really neat concept. If you ever look into it, look into the Boring Company, and also look into just typing or Google Las Vegas Underground Taxi, Tesla Taxi or something like that. Really cool stuff. So brilliant engineer, not the most brilliant with humans.
Yeah, no.
In fact, I think he's probably doing everything he can to make sure humans aren't needed in 10 years. Which, great. And then a lot of cities decided it was time to burn.
Yeah.
Because why not? I guess they were anti-ice raids. Mm-hmm. Which was funny because in some of them they were all holding Mexican flags against going to Mexico.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to hold up the flag, that probably means you got a lot of pride in Mexico. It's right there.
Yeah.
You can go.
Not far. Nothing's stopping you.
Right. Go be proud over there. Right. But of course it's the same. It's the old Antifa tactics, right? Everyone's got their mask covered or their face covered. Mm-hmm. Someone was actually there was this black truck that was handing out face shields. They arrested that guy because the guy driving the truck apparently didn't wear a mask like a dumbass. They figured out who he was and arrested him. Like, I can't believe they're arresting the guy.
How'd they find me?
Well, he was handing out riot gear, so you can't really do that. And then, so I guess Portland, of course, Seattle, of course.
It's always the usual places.
Portland, Seattle, LA. I believe New York City had some issues, but I think the New York City police weren't going to have it. Mm-hmm. Chicago, I think, had their issues. I mean, the major blue cities, right?
Yeah.
This isn't happening in like the middle of Appalachia, Kentucky.
Right.
It's just not happening there. So that was in the news, of course. So then Trump sent the National Guard in to protect federal buildings.
Mm-hmm. And the Marines went in.
Right. But they were there to protect federal buildings, right? They weren't there to quell riots.
Yeah.
Because the federal buildings were getting attacked.
Yeah. The way the corporate media would make it seem is that the Marines were taking over the city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and then, of course, Gavin Newsom decided to speak up because he wasn't doing shit about it. And then I guess they filed a lawsuit basically so that Trump can't send National Guard. And one judge agreed, but basically put a stay on it. So he's still in control of the National Guard until, I believe, Tuesday, which will be the day this goes out. And then a judge will give a final determination whether the state controls the National Guard or whether the president controls the National Guard. Because it's interesting. Most National Guards are actually state employees.
Yeah.
So there is it's actually a pretty good question. Who controls the National Guard? Is it the president or is it the state governor? And of course, then you always have the wonderful Karen Bass, mayor of LA, who didn't do anything about the wildfires in her city. She let that burn. And actually, I believe she was on vacation at the time. And she, of course, everyone blames Trump. This is the old plan. Blame Trump for everything. Blame Trump for everything. Well, I'm pretty sure there are some citizens there that would like the rioting to stop.
Yeah.
You know, but so that's also going on. I do believe some politicians tried to get into an ICE detention facility in New Jersey.
Who's that?
Ross Baraka, I believe.
Okay, so Maxine, what's her name?
Maxine Waters, yeah, she said everything.
Yeah.
And then, of course, they left, although I think one got arrested for it. Now Antifa is there, of course.
That always makes things better.
And they're blockading it.
Oh, okay.
They made ICE agents open up a van door to make sure that there was no one in the back going into the facility. It's like, okay, who's running this?
Yeah.
Send them to jail.
Yeah.
You can't block a federal facility. That's not protest. That's obstruction. Mm-hmm. Let's see. What else is happening? Give me the quick rundown here so we can talk about all this. Israel decided to bomb Iran and take out, I believe, 7 or 8 top Iranian political officials. However, not the Ayatollah.
Okay.
I have heard through horrible sources that are probably not true, that Trump told Netanyahu not to take out the Ayatollah. Now, whether that's true or not, don't know. And do I think Netanyahu would listen? No, not at this point. I think that dude's going to do what he's going to do. It's almost like I see both sides of this. At what point is enough for the October 7th events were awful, but you've already leveled Gaza at this point. There's nothing there. There's like a couple refugee camps, and they're not. I guess you can't even call them refugee camps because the people that live in Gaza are in there. They're trying to get humanitarian aid, not very successfully. Although Greta Thunberg didn't. She took her shot at virtual signaling. She was on a ship to bring aid there.
Oh, she's back now?
Oh yeah, she's coming back. How dare you?
Were we all supposed to be underwater by now?
Sure. And then of course,
I keep hoping for it because then I'll have waterfront property.
However, with all the climate change, Hillary Clinton's like really close aide, Aba Hubadine.
Wasn't she married to the freaking dick pic?
Anthony Winter.
Yeah.
Divorced him.
Yeah.
Want to know who she just married?
Who?
George Soros' son, Alex Soros. So they had a wedding in the Hamptons.
Probably was a pretty cheap affair.
I can only guess how many private planes flew into the Hamptons that weekend.
Oh, yeah.
And I guarantee you they were all climate change people.
Oh, sure.
It was probably Al Gore,
Yeah.
John Kerry, the Clintons,
Yeah.
the Obamas, all of them, all these people with waterfront property and Martha's Vineyard
Yeah.
who haven't sold it yet.
Right.
Because apparently, the climate change is coming, just not there. It's just everywhere else.
It's still insured.
Everything is good, but you pollute too much.
Yeah.
Keep that in the back of your mind. Okay. They all took private planes. It was the who's who of the Democrat establishment.
Oh, yeah. But...
So that happened. Oh, then Iran decided to fire missiles back at Israel and hit Tel Aviv. They actually got through the Iron Dome.
Oh, wow.
Got some to land. I think they got 2 or 3 to land. And I believe Israel hit back. So that war is ongoing now. I think we're still bombing the Houthis in Yemen.
Oh, that's our sworn enemies, the Houthis.
Yep, still going after them. I think we're fighting them for Saudi Arabia at this point. I don't even know what's going on there. I never heard of these people.
No one had.
Like just a couple years ago, and all of a sudden they just Taliban was gone. The Houthis came out. Like what the fuck? Like it's just like these little people, these groups of people just pop out of nowhere. You haven't heard about them, and all of a sudden they're there.
Right.
Okay.
So these Star Wars characters, they sound like a Star Wars character.
Every time,
whenever they mention it, I see sand people from Star Wars.
I always think of that bar scene in Star Wars, and I just pick out another creature.
Yeah.
As the Houthis are the blue elephant with the tusk
that plays a piano thing.
Yes, that's who the Houthis are to me.
To me, they're sand people.
Yes,
and that's not to say they live in the desert, which Yemen I think is pretty much a desert.
It's pretty much the desert.
But like, it's so foreign to me. Like to me, the whole thing's taking place on Tatooine.
Yes,
against the sand people.
Yes,
who we never heard of prior to the being told that they are sworn enemies.
Chances are we probably
deserve to be bombed.
We probably created them.
Yeah,
like we created the Taliban. And everybody, all the other bad guys in the world, the CIA probably created them 20 years ago, and now they're going to fight us now.
Right, like the Taliban was the Mujahideen.
Yes,
and we liked them when they were fighting the Russians.
Loved them, gave them weapons.
Yeah, but then all of a sudden they became bad. And we're the Taliban, so we went over there to fight them.
Yeah,
and then they were still bad until we left Afghanistan, and that wonderfully executed withdrawal.
Yes,
and organized and made sure everyone got out.
It's perfect.
And then they were good again. It's still the Taliban.
Yes.
And now I guess they're bad again.
Well, they still, and they let girls go to school for like a month.
Right.
And now they can't.
Now they have all our weapons, but the better versions of them.
Yes.
Not the 70s versions, the today version.
Correct. And well, I mean, look, they stopped stoning people for like 6 months.
Hey, you know what? That was a 6-month reprieve.
That was.
I think that was worth 20 years of war.
I think so.
And millions of people dead.
I mean, they stopped stoning people long enough so that girls could go to school.
For a month.
And then they couldn't go anymore.
Right.
Because we can't have them educated. In the madrasa.
Right.
Not with real books, but the madrasa. Yeah. Like, I can only imagine the education a girl was getting in the Taliban-controlled Afghanistan.
She was top notch.
Yeah, I'm sure it was like Ivy League level, right? Although, hey, maybe it was Ivy League level because that shit's a mess now. Apparently, Trump's holding back a lot of money from Harvard because they apparently want activism over education, not letting them import students anymore because that was a big payday for them. Let's see what else happened. I mean, I feel like there's one I'm missing.
Ukraine's still going on.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ukraine's still going on. We thought that was going to be peaceful for a minute.
Why is that still going on?
I don't know. I don't. What is the end game at this point? Not to bring up a.
I mean, the Ukrainians are like grabbing up like whoever, like 50-year-old men, like dudes with like Down syndrome, like they're just driving around scooping people up in a van. They're driving to the front to go get blown up.
Well, I mean, the Russians are just throwing North Koreans out there to get slaughtered. Which, by the way, if we ever had questions about the North Korean army being formidable, they're not. The Russians just use them as human shields, basically. So, guys, watch this. Watch this. They're going to go, guys, go fight go up against those tanks over there. And they just fucking go and do it, and they get mowed down.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? Although, they're probably also going to die in a slave labor camp in North Korea anyway, so maybe this was the honorable way to go.
I mean, you have a chance.
Right. Do you? Sure. Because you don't know if that tank will be good or not.
Right.
Could be horrible.
But you see, like, and the funny thing about that, not funny thing, disturbing thing, there's like all these freaking, so I follow a bunch of like live war video things on Instagram, and of course, because that's like the most modern, two, I wouldn't say equally matched, but one is getting a bunch of free weapons and stuff from us, the other one is Russia, so like, two Western militaries going at it. So that pops up a lot. And there's like cheerleaders. Like, fuck you, die, Russian scum. Like, I don't know any Russians. Well, maybe a couple. Decent. Alex Ovechkin's Russian. I think number one goal scorer of all time, Alex Ovechkin.
I think people we know, I think they're Moldovan.
Yeah.
If it's the same people you're thinking about, I think they're Moldovan.
Former Soviet bloc. It's not the same country, but,
Okay.
So, but I see, I'm like, why do you care so much? Like, there's disgusting, sick, fuck war cheerleaders. Some Russian kid, like, because they have the drone video, right? And the drone flies over, and the guy's already wounded. They drop a grenade on him and just blow his guts out. And the comments are just, I'm like, why don't you go over there, you pussy? Because you would never do it.
No.
And it's like, why are you cheering this on? This isn't good in any respect. Whether it's a Ukrainian kid getting a grenade dropped on him or a Russian kid.
And so,
because none of those guys want to be there.
No. And we talked about the history of why this war started. I want to say about 6 or 7 episodes ago. So if you want, go back and listen to our episode on Ukraine versus Russia. That was the name of it. I think it was episode 210 or so, roughly. It goes into the history of that whole conflict and why it's even occurring and how we were involved. And when I say we, I mean the United States. Everyone wants to know. Everyone on the right is like, well, why would Russia stop? They've got nothing to lose. And they were like, Ukraine should come to the table. I mean, Trump had the infamous line of, you don't have the cards, when he was in the Oval Office. What's the guy? Zelensky was in the Oval Office. The thing is, and it's not that Ukraine has to actually win the war. They just have to hold out long enough. It's like the war of attrition, right? Because what a lot of people don't understand about Russia is it's a little bit of a paper tiger. They don't have a limitless economy. Like the reason why they lost the Cold War is because we outspent them dollar for dollar. Like we basically bankrupted them. They really don't have a large economy right now for the size of the country that they are. And their military equipment is really old. Like old. Like they'll do this, the show, like the air show once in a while to show like a Gen 5 fighter, but they don't have many of them.
Right.
They're still flying older MiGs. Their tanks are older tanks. Like they're literally pulling them out of like storage to restore them, basically just to get something to roll, right? They're not heavily armored. They're not armored for today's stuff. And
no, they're not. They don't protect their crews. So, like, you see a Russian tank get hit, the turret blows off. When the turret blows off a tank, everyone in there's vapor. They're incinerated.
So the benefit for Russia to negotiate a ceasefire right now is because I can't imagine they had the military equipment to keep this up very much longer. They don't have anyone else supplying them with weapons. So it's not like they can replenish any of this stuff. And make no mistake, the Ukrainian drone attacks are taking out equipment. In my opinion, and again, an opinion only, this is an opinion show, the advantage for Russia to negotiate a ceasefire now is that they do have an upper hand. And make no mistake about it, the other NATO countries in Europe, even if they just supply weapons to negate whatever Russia's got, that's enough to hold them off for enough time. Because the longer Russia fights this, the longer someone's going to be like, well, wait a minute, you were supposed to be the world's second superpower. You were supposed to be the second strongest military on this planet, and you can't even take out this little country. Maybe it's almost like, they have a permanent seat in the Security Council, right? Well, maybe they shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because they're not much of a threat. And everyone's like, well, they have nukes. Okay. So here's a good example. Russia last year spent, I believe, $60 billion on the military. The United States spent $763 billion on the military. And I believe that might just be the upkeep of weapons alone. You can't say that Russia is actually doing what they need to do to keep up their nuclear arsenal. So their nuclear arsenal might be much smaller than people think. Now, one could say, well, you only need one nuke, right? To an extent, sure. But if it's shot out of the sky and doesn't hit the intended target, and you've only got 6 of them.
Or it gets to where it's supposed to and doesn't go off. Right.
Or there's that. Then you've lost all leverage whatsoever. Right now, all their leverage is in the threat of a nuclear attack. And if people find out that your nuclear arsenal hasn't been upkept in over 30 years, and you really don't have a nuclear arsenal, well, then what's to stop Ukraine from just outlasting you with European weapons?
Yeah.
That are more up to date than Russian weapons. Like right now, the main thing Russia has is the mystique of being the second best military in the world. If that's blown, they're fucked. And then, okay, well, what's your economy going to be? Then you're basically an oil state. You're almost a Middle Eastern country because your only natural resource is oil and some natural gas. Okay, well, you're going to export it, but guess what? If the United States, who is the 5th largest oil and natural gas exporter in the world, decides they're going to undercut you on price, who are you going to sell to?
Yeah.
So Russia really needs to be careful in this. Now, I remember in the last episode, we were probably more pro-Russia than Ukraine for the most part as far as who can win the war. But there is a threat to Russia in this if they don't negotiate a ceasefire somewhat soon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, both sides were willing to sit down and talk about it, but then the Americans and British put a stop to it.
And that part, see, I didn't know that part.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, there's that old saying, right? It's, if there's peace, then the people win, but the military-industrial complex loses.
Yeah.
Because you got to replace weapons.
Yeah. Which is why we've been dropping bombs on, and that's about the only thing we make in this country anymore is weapons. So you need to have people to sell weapons to, which means you need to have all these stupid wars going on. So,
I mean, it's one of the reasons. I mean, if the Houthis are a problem in Yemen, well, Saudi Arabia is going to buy more weapons from us.
Yeah.
Not that their military is great, but they need a military. They're going to buy F-16s. They're going to buy missiles. They're going to buy stuff like that. I mean, from what I understand, we're still selling weapons to Ukraine. I don't think that's stopped. Yeah. Or it might have stopped for a month.
Or we're buying the weapons, meaning people like you and me.
No, that's what I mean.
Are buying weapons, are giving the Ukrainians the money to buy the weapons from.
Right. That's what I meant.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's still going on. I don't know how this Iran-Israel thing is going to go. This was always the battle that needed to happen. And I don't mean that because I want war. I'm saying Iran was essentially fighting Israel by proxy, either through Hamas or through Hezbollah. Hezbollah is the Iranian Guard faction in Lebanon. Hamas was the one in the Palestinian territories. And they were the ones basically attacking so that Iran could say, oh, no, it wasn't us. Well, Israel finally said enough's enough, and they went and attacked Iran as President Trump was trying to negotiate a nuclear deal. Was this to stop the nuclear deal? I think there's something much more nefarious going on with all of this, but at the end of the day, the two countries that are really at odds with each other, Israel and Iran, are now finally fighting each other, and maybe this is what's needed to really end all of it. Mm-hmm. Now, that could also mean a lot of people lose their lives, and I'm not a fan of that. On either way, I'm not a fan of that. But is this the final straw that just decides it all, or is it just will it just continue as it always has?
Yeah, because I mean, there have always been times where the Israelis have flown over and blown up something, and when they got too close to building a nuke in Iran, they'll fly over and blow up some facility or kill some scientist, or they've been. I mean, that's nothing new. This is kind of prolonged.
Apparently, they killed the lead nuclear negotiator. So the person who was actually negotiating the nuclear deal was killed. Mm-hmm. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, I mean, it's look. I think I've been as pro-Israel as the next person through most of this, and it's just like, look, man, you can't be killing the people that are negotiating with the U.S. I just don't think you can do that. Like, okay, like, what was your goal in that? Not to have the nuclear deal?
What?
It's like, yeah, shit. I mean, raises questions.
Yeah.
I guess I'm not educated enough on this to talk on it. I just think it's fishy.
Well, I would be surprised if there's some neocon deep state scumbags orchestrating all this shit anyway. Because you need an enemy in the Middle East.
I mean, that's the never Trumpers, right?
Yeah. Iran. Hate Iran.
I mean, the whole Republican wing that never Trumpers that are the neocons.
Yeah. The idiots like Lindsey Graham.
I mean, you got Lindsey Graham.
We're going to drop all the methyls.
Dick Cheney.
Yeah.
I mean, Democrats love Dick Cheney now.
Oh, yeah.
And Liz Cheney. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's all that old. I mean, I don't know if Paul Wolfowitz, and I don't know if he's still alive.
I'm sure all those.
Right, I'm sure, but they're disciples.
Yeah. Brzezinski.
Right? Vindeman or whatever. I don't know. Again, opinion. All opinion. Don't know any of these people, but is there a third faction in this country that still has some power over international relationships?
Well, if you think about it, foreign policy, all these people that make these decisions and formulate these things, they're not elected people.
Right.
They're not accountable to anybody. So, like, who's the Victoria Nuland, who's some deputy undersecretary of state and then moved all into a bunch of different jobs formulating these things. Like, these people are war hawks, and they're not. No one ever elected her to anything.
Right.
Serving under multiple administrations in these high, in these deputy to the assistant, whatever, to whomever. Paul Wolfowitz is another, Brzezinski, and then you have the clowns like Lindsey Graham, who's never been right about anything, but people still elect him. But aside from the elected people, they're all the same actors.
Rumsfeld.
Yeah.
That's the guy I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
He's another one.
Yeah.
So something's going on there, I think. I have nothing to prove. Like, I don't have any news articles. I don't have any proof of it.
But I wouldn't use news articles as proof of anything.
Well, that's true. But I have no knowledge to back up what I'm saying. It's just a pure opinion. It's me putting... Yeah, right now I'm probably putting 2 and 2 together, and I got 5. Mm-hmm. I'm close to 4, but I got 5 still. Yeah. So I'm probably not right. But I might be onto something. What was the other part? What other one didn't we go into that we talked about? We talked about the senator, Minnesota State senator. Mm-hmm. Here, so all right. So every time there's been some of this kind of political violence, the first news story is always that it's a MAGA guy.
Sure.
School shooters were MAGA. Mm-hmm. And then as details come out, it ends up being that they were a leftist with an agenda, whether it was the trans kid that shot up the Tennessee school.
Still haven't been able to read that manifesto.
Correct. Or I do. And again, I'm going to say I could probably be really wrong with this, but I think what happened was, so the initial thing of this guy's roommate said he was always a Republican. He's a registered Republican, much like the kid that took a shot at Trump.
Yeah,
was a registered Republican, who just happened to be in some BlackRock commercials when he was a kid. But let's not talk about that part of it.
Yeah, it's probably MK Ultra.
Hey, don't know. It just was really coincidental. The kid was in a BlackRock commercial. His dad was an executive over there. And he just also happened to be taking a shot at the president. Or candidate. Nothing to see here. It does seem like this might be another situation where all of the initial reports are, this is a MAGA guy, he's a registered Republican, the roommate says he was a Republican, but you're telling me the Republican shot and went after a Democratic state senator who voted with Republicans on a major piece of legislation to not give Medicaid to illegal immigrants.
Don't ask that question.
Right. And oh, by the way, in his car, he might have had some flyers that said no King's Day.
Right.
Now, that could be all fake, though. I mean, that stuff that I read could be fake. And I can be duped just like everybody else. Okay. I do think and the guy's been arrested. So I do think as things start to come out, I do think this is going to be another left-wing political violence thing.
The left is much better at the political violence thing.
They seem to do a lot of it. And the funny thing is someone's like, well, the right does it too. Do they?
I'm trying to... Well, they were the guys that were all happened to look like feds that were marching around D.C.
They march around D.C. and other areas in perfect step.
In 5'11" gear.
And they don't speak, and they just walk from one place to the other without saying anything.
Yeah.
They just hold American flags and some shields or whatever.
Yeah.
Every single one of them has the same pair of pants, the same boots, the same shirt, the same face mask, the same hat, all of them.
Yeah.
Like they did a team buy. I've never seen a more organized group of people.
Yeah, it probably all came from like whatever agency's freaking 5'11" open PO they've got.
Yeah. I'll be interested to see if it happens with the new presidential change.
What if they... Ooh.
Like if you don't see her for 4 years...
And then all of a sudden they come back again?
And then they come back again? I'm like, wait a minute.
Because they should be at one of these riots counter-protesting.
You would think. Because Antifa seems to be at everything counter-protesting.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't these guys?
Yeah.
Because they're so organized and well-dressed.
And in very good shape.
They're all in great shape.
Yeah.
Except for like 2 of them.
Right. There's no like fat blue-haired they-thems amongst them. There's like...
No skateboards in the
they-thems. Standard American short hairs coming out there.
They all walk with like a very slight limp. Like they couldn't get into the Marines because they had it. But they really wanted to be in the Marines, so they joined the Patriot Front.
Right. They all came out, just got back from CrossFit.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's a CrossFit gym.
It's a CrossFit gym. They all probably have matching tattoos that say like West Bend, CrossFit.
Yeah.
West Benders.
Right.
Whatever. They always have like some weird...
It's not a gym, though. It's called a box.
Box. It's not a gym, bro. It's a lifestyle. Let's go get it.
What's the first rule of CrossFit? Tell everyone about CrossFit.
Everybody. Everyone's got to know you're in CrossFit. If you didn't tell 10 people that you do CrossFit, are you really doing CrossFit? You're not in the cult, man. If you don't tell people you're in the cult. Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, we should see if they show up again.
I'll be shocked if they do.
Yeah.
Want to know when they're going to show up again? When we have a Democrat president again. That's when they're going to show up. They'll magically reappear after a 4-year hiatus. Yeah. Wow, you guys really took some time off. Well, we need to recharge. Yeah. Actually, they won't talk because they don't talk on camera.
Right. They also commit no crimes.
No crimes. Zero. Oh, and when they do, if they get arrested, and they get handcuffed, the police don't pull down the masks.
Right.
The only group where this happens, where they don't pull down the mask. They get to stay masked.
What's your email, sir? Blah, 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 at blah, 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 .gov.
At FBI.doj.gov. I promise. Or maybe FBI.da. I don't know. FBI is part of DOJ, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. That's going to be great. Can't wait. They'll be back. Don't worry.
Just email me my court date.
Right. I thought it was funny though with I guess all the riots. There's people out there saying, "All right, MAGA guys, don't go to any of these things because you know they're gonna pick you up and put you in jail. Don't even go near it." I'm like, fuck, man, can't even walk across the street. I think it seems to be like a pretty big fight within the Hispanic community too. Like you got some that are super on the side of like America. Like, nope, I came here the legal way.
Yeah.
Send them all back. Then you got a whole bunch of people, mostly white liberal ladies, who are like, no, they must all stay. This is awful. This is communism.
I'm here to advocate for
fascism.
And the thing, and that just goes again how like a lot of these people like have never actually like don't know anyone who's affected at all. Unless they're their gardener or housekeeper or something, they, picked them up to help them lay some gravel in the, like seriously, like they don't know these people. Like there are, I mean, if you go out west, so in Los Angeles, a guy I used to work with was from L.A. and everyone who was Hispanic, he called them Mexicans because out there that's generally what they are because it's so close. Mm-hmm. So, then. But the thing is, like, there's third, fourth, fifth, sixth generation. Like, their families have been there. They're American as American. It's almost like you see someone going to the Sons of Italy meeting, but it's not like they just came over from Palermo. Mm-hmm. Like, they're American. Their family's been on Long Island for 100 years. And it's the same thing down there. Like. Yeah, they have a Mexican heritage, but they're Americans, just like the Italians here. They have an Italian heritage, but they're 100% Americans. Like, it's not, and that just, it kind of shows how people who don't know, assume that all of them just came over the border seeking asylum. No, it's a diverse and it's not a monolithic population. Like, they think, because they don't know any of them. You never sat and had dinner with them or none of them are friends.
Well, the weird argument that some of these people have to keep them here. Like they all go on either TikTok or fucking Instagram or X or Twitter or whatever, and they're like, "Is this what you guys voted for? Like now, someone cleaning my house cost me $35 more." Like, so your advocacy is about being able to pay people less money for shit because they were illegal immigrants. Like you're basically admitting to taking advantage of illegal immigrants to pay lower wages so you save money. That's your argument now.
It reminds me of an argument in like the 1850s.
Right.
I mean,
oh no.
Like, is that really where you're going with that?
But they just walk right into it.
Yeah.
It's like, that's what you're going to lean into? You sound like a moron. Like, that's not your reason.
Right.
But they, like, of course, they just keep putting this shit out there. It's like, whoever's doing PR for Democrats sucks.
But why does anyone ever, like, okay, so flip it, some dude with an R after his name goes and says that. Or say a right-leaning entertainer, that guy's a bigot, they're racist. Why aren't the same voices calling that shit out?
Well, the other funny part is, like, apparently there were some Americans in Mexico illegally, and Mexico's sending them back, like they always do. And so, like, see, is this what you guys voted? They always start with this. Is this what you guys voted for? They're now sending Americans back to America. It's like, well, if they're there legally, yeah, that's what all these countries do. It's not just us.
Right.
Like, if you go to France illegally, France sends you back.
Yeah.
If you go to Germany illegally, Germany sends you back. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
And everywhere else but here. So again, though, who sent the talking points? Like, this is, yeah, great. Send them back to America.
Yeah.
Sorry, Charlie, do your immigration paperwork right if you want to go to Mexico. Like, yeah, they should send them back.
Yep.
And of course, like, they're like, no, that's not what I meant. Okay, well, what did you mean? And they just implode. It's like, yo, and then I put, it was me that posted on Twitter the other day. I said, look, let's make immigration much more simple, because the only people this makes sense for is lawyers and smugglers. Smugglers are charging people $10,000 to get someone over the border, and they basically just drop them off and say good luck.
Yeah.
The second people making money in this is immigration lawyers, because they're going to charge you $10,000 to make you legal.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? You come over the border, you get a worker number. Or actually, how about this? Before you come, you can either by mail or online. You have to submit your paperwork with a $50 check. Okay? You have to wait for your background check to get done. It can take no longer than 30 days. If you have no criminal history, you were given a date to come on over. Okay. When you come over, you get a worker identification number. So if you do decide to work here, you then are in the system to pay taxes. You get no benefits, though. You get no Medicaid, no Medicare, but the hospitals do have to stabilize you if you are in trouble, which is technically Medicaid.
Yeah.
Because Medicaid ends up paying that if you can't pay.
Yeah, that's how it is now. Like,
right.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so yes, some illegals are going to get Medicaid benefits if they go to an emergency room. However, because you have that worker identification number, you might not have to go to, you can use that to use services in America. You can go to a doctor. They can help you with that. It essentially works as a Social Security number, but you don't get the benefits of Social Security.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't claim Social Security disability. You can't, none of that, right? Okay. Then, your visa is good for 90 days to work in the United States. At 90 days, you have to show up to your caseworker. They're going to make sure that you're employed and that you have committed no crimes. As long as that happens, you're then free for the next 9 months. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we've done 3 months. Now we've done another 9 months. At the year, you have to show up. You have to go to your annual review. You pay another $100 to renew for a year. You do this until you're 5 years in the United States. At 5 years, if you have you've paid your $50 application fee, you paid your $100 a year to stay in, that's $550. You are now eligible to go to like citizenship school, and you have to pass the citizenship test. It should take you another, I don't know, 90 days. 90 days, you take your test. If you pass it, you are now an American citizen. The test costs you another $50. So what were we at? We're at $550?
$600.
Now we're at $600. Yeah. For $600, you can become an American citizen if you keep your nose clean and work. Mm-hmm. And then your worker identification number then becomes a Social Security number. Done and done.
Yeah.
So you want to know who's to blame in all this bullshit? Congress. Because they won't put anything like this. They won't pass any bill like this whatsoever.
And they lose the issue.
Well, but here's at some point, we got to get over the issue. But they're not going to do that. It's like abortion. They don't want to get over the issue. They want to have something so they can earn money off of you. Mm-hmm. When Democrats scream abortion, guess what? People donate.
Yeah.
When Republicans scream gun control, guess who donates?
Yep.
Right? People donate off of anger. If right now Democrats can get people to donate over immigration, there's no incentive for them to put any bill into Congress to actually solve immigration. That right there solves immigration. Now, do they have to put money into the background checks? The United States? Yes, it would cost us some money, but it would cost less than the court systems to deal with all these cases. It would cost less than, because when someone comes into the country, they basically assign a court date, and people just don't show up.
Yeah.
Well, that costs money. Mm-hmm. So maybe the money that we're putting into all this bullshit, maybe you put it into hiring people to do background checks so we can do a background check in 30 days. Yeah. Maybe it's 90 days. But either way, it's not forever. It's not years just to get in here, right? And then you don't have to pay a smuggler.
Right.
Yeah, and then you don't have to pay $10,000 in legal fees. Mm-hmm. For $600, you're a U.S. citizen as long as you keep your nose clean. And if not, yes, we're deporting you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to go.
Yeah.
And you can't try and come back for another 5 years if it's a nonviolent crime. And if it's a violent crime, you can't come back at all.
Right. Never.
Right. I think if you put that plan out to someone, anyone, they would probably say, yeah, that sounds reasonable. But then there's the question, okay, what happens if a lady comes over, she's working, she's here, she has a baby here. Mm-hmm. Does that baby become an American citizen? Well, according to birthright citizenship, yes.
Yeah.
But if you get deported because you violate any of this, your baby goes with you. And you have to do what you need to do to get your baby to be a Mexican citizen mm-hmm. or El Salvadorian citizen or whatever citizen you are.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure the baby also gets citizenship of the mother as well in most countries.
Yeah, it's like dual citizenship is that's what happens in a lot of those. And like, you can go to Italy. If you have Italian heritage, you can apply for Italian citizenship.
Sure.
And then you'll be a dual citizen of both Italy and the United States. And then, however, the thing is, you're still subjected to those countries' laws. So, like, I think any Jew can go to Israel and apply for and be a dual citizen of both Israel and the United States. However, a lot of people don't because of the compulsory service.
Correct.
So, like, you can go, like, yeah, great, congrats, you're now an Israeli citizen, and you just got drafted. So,
and you will.
Yeah. Especially now. So, that's the other thing, like, immigration, back in the 1800s, like when all the Irish were coming in, everyone hated the Irish. The Irish did not apply. They were hated until, we need soldiers to fight the Civil War.
Right.
And that's how you got like the Irish Brigade and all this, like, come on. And then the other immigrants that were coming, well, now we have westward expansion. We have all this territory we have to fill. So, yeah, come on in. Well, that situation isn't going on right now. I guarantee you if one of these wars turns hot, like really hot, come on in, guys. Recruiters right there. Actually, it's not even a recruiter. The draft right there.
Well, I do believe there is some kind of stipulation where if you come into the country and serve in the military for 5 years, I believe you become an American citizen.
Yeah,
I could be wrong, though.
One of the issues I have with that is that if there are nefarious people out there, you fill your military with foreigners, and that's a lot easier to, like, say it's just people coming right over into the country. Are they identifying as Americans, or are they identifying as wherever they came from? And if I go to the military, if I do 5 years, I get to stay here. Well, now you're in the military, you're armed, you're easier to, whereas the traditional, especially your combat arms types, infantry, stuff like that, a lot of times it's like kids from Texas and Oklahoma and, kids from the city and that are going into fill those roles. Well, if it's not them who identify at least as Americans first, there's the possibility that foreign soldiers wearing American uniforms will be much, much easier to convince to turn their weapons on their own countrymen.
Sure.
Yeah, and that's far-fetched, out there type stuff, but,
The other part of it is, though, like you go and you fight for a country, sometimes it turns them more patriotic.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I don't know. It could go either way. I guess my point of all that is someone smarter than me should be able to figure this out. But when there's money involved, which there always is, they're not going to figure it out.
No.
And so that's one thing I wish a lot of people would realize. Like, it's on your TV to anger you. But someone created this situation. And it's not the people you think it is. The people you should be looking at and pointing the finger at are the people that make the laws of this country. For example, if you're going to leave it to the courts, it's almost like leaving your strike zone up to an umpire when you're up at bat. He might call one just off the plate, a strike. And it could be strike 3. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be very unhappy with that. Whereas if there is a law on the books, it's the law of the land.
Yeah.
And when people really look at the reasons why there aren't laws for abortion, there aren't laws for immigration, or there are laws, but they're just so convoluted, then you may not be happy with the result, but is it worth getting yourself that worked up over knowing that it's being done to piss you off because they want you to donate money? Mm-hmm. And if you don't think it all comes down to money, you're fooling yourself.
Yeah.
And that's... it's hard to be that cynical about things, though. Is all of this just being done just to piss people off? To create division in the world? Mm-hmm. I think there's an element of that.
Yeah.
I think I'd be a little naive to say that there wasn't. Do I think that's the only reason? No. But...
Well, they have to create division because that's the only way they can maintain power.
I think you're right.
When all the MAGA people and the crazy lefties and schlubs like us and the person who just came over the border legally or illegally recognize that we all have a lot more in common than we do with the assholes that are running things, that's what they're afraid of. So they have to create these divisions, chop everybody up. They're easier to control. So,
I mean, it's very strange. Like they always come up with something to divide two different sets of people. Mm-hmm. And the weird thing is, like, we're not even as divided as they were before the Civil War. Like, someone said, "Oh, I can't believe it's so bad right now."
Yeah,
it's been worse, a lot worse. I mean, they actually fought a war because of shit, and that wasn't even the worst of it. I mean, even back when Texas, the whole Texas annexation thing, there was arguments over that I think Polk was assassinated over that because he wanted to annex Texas because he was part of that Manifest Destiny, move as far west as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And other people did not want that. I mean, I'm pretty sure Polk was assassinated. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure he was either assassinated or attempted assassination, one of the two. And that's what led to the Mexican-American War, was the annexation of Texas. Mm-hmm. Interesting story, by the way. But yes, so is this a divided country? Sure. To an extent, though. I think there's probably more visible outrage because that's what's being amplified.
Sure.
And I think most people in everyday lives aren't as outraged.
Yeah.
Or they're just really, really good at hiding it. Mm-hmm. Because for the most part, we live in a very mixed political zone. I'd say it's half Democrats, half Republicans. I don't see people arguing about politics at the grocery store.
No.
Or in the parking lot. I don't see anyone tagging Teslas. I don't see anyone tagging big old Chevrolets. I don't see that kind of issue here. That doesn't mean it's not happening because I don't see it, but it just makes me wonder, like, the stuff that I am seeing, is it like one deranged person? Is it someone being paid to do it? Is it a faked video, for crying out loud? I mean, I wouldn't put it past anyone for that.
No.
If it gets you 1 million views to spray paint your own Tesla Cybertruck.
Oh, sure.
And post it on YouTube, and you can get paid $100,000 off that video.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, I may spray paint my own not that I have a Cybertruck, but if I had a Cybertruck that just lost $30,000 in value, I may spray paint it to get $100,000 off a YouTube video to help cover that loss.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I could be cynical here.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I don't put anything past anybody.
No.
To do some crazy shit.
The Mercedes, the Mercedes, essentially the E version of the S Class. All those owners like, hey, can someone be really mad at Mercedes-Benz
right.
so I can do the same thing?
Hey, Hitler, remember him?
Yeah, he owned one of these.
He owned one.
If he was alive, he'd be driving this car. Spray paint it.
Remember, I know it's not a Volkswagen, guys, but come on.
Yeah.
Hitler was still a bad guy and had a Mercedes.
Right. Yeah.
come spray paint this. It's been really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, the EQS.
Yes. It's not a bad car, though.
People are taking baths on them.
Oh, I know. What did they pay? Like 200 grand for one of those things? Now it's worth like 70 grand.
Yeah.
The day it drives off the lot. Dude, I'll tell you, some of those
Like
EVs,
Bow Ties and Benzes says, lease that car.
Lease that.
Don't buy it.
I love his shorts because he says, he's like, look, I'm not trying to screw people.
Yeah.
He goes, I know what these things are.
Yeah.
He goes, I sell a ton of them. He goes, lease them. And he goes, I think he said, like, you want to always look at the residual.
Yeah.
Like I think, because Mercedes it's either Mercedes or the finance company sets the residual. If they set it really high, he's like, just turn the car in. He goes, and if they set it really low, he goes, buy it and sell it back to us.
Yeah.
Make some money on it. Use that as your down payment on the next lease. Like, sometimes car guys aren't giving you shit advice, right? They work in the car industry. They work on selling cars. They want you to be happy so that you go back to them and buy more cars, right? Mm-hmm. That's the best way to run a dealership. There's also a guy out there. He just started his Instagram or TikTok. He's called King Louie.
Okay.
He owns a Lincoln. It's a family-owned. I think it's Biondi Lincoln or Biondi.
Oh, Russ Flips Whips?
I've seen that guy.
So Russ, he worked at Biondi. It's out in Pittsburgh until he went to, he's doing his own, he trains other dealers on social media.
Okay. So Louis, the guy who owns the dealership, does his own, like, videos now.
Yeah.
I think the other guy I watch on YouTube is Delivered. His name's Tommy. Mm-hmm. It's DELIVRD. No E in there. And he videos himself calling dealerships. So basically, you pay Tommy about $1,000, and he promises to save you more than $1,000 on the car. So you don't have to. And he'll call anywhere to get the best deal on the car. So he'll call nationwide, get delivered, and all this other stuff. Just interesting ways, like when in the whole car industry. Me, I go in there, I see what they're advertising for. I'm like, hey, can you knock $1,000 or $1,500 off the car? And if they can, great. And if not, then I'll probably walk.
Yeah.
But I'm not asking for $5,000 off. Yeah. Now, here's the thing, though. Like, if there's incentives, I want the incentives, too.
Sure.
But, like, hey, look, I'm buying this thing. Why don't you take a little bit of... You're going to make a profit. I'm going to finance it through you. So why don't you try and sell to me for maybe break even? Or because most car dealers, they definitely have $1,500 worth of room in the car.
Oh, yeah.
Especially new cars. Used cars, they have more room. But I love watching that stuff. It's really interesting. But we were supposed to get into some weight loss stuff, but we're at an hour now.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll save it for next time. Because we do have some news. But because we're in the business of making shows, we're going to make it a cliffhanger.
Yeah. Ooh.
Even though we told you at the beginning of this episode we were going to tell you. Tell you what, I'll tell you mine. Just quickly. The number is 293.
Good.
That went up to 295.
All right, that happens.
But it's coming back down.
There you go.
So I've stayed under 3. Yeah. So at least we gave him a snippet. Because your number is better.
Yeah, so mine is...
Do you want to share?
Sure, yeah.
Oh, all right.
388.
That's big time.
Total weight loss now is 59 pounds.
I got 62. You started at 450.
447.
All right. All right. I stand corrected.
I have a spreadsheet.
You're going with that. See, I think I mean, technically, I think I was at 349.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think I saw 350 on the scale, so that's what I'm going with.
Yeah.
So you said 447?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were 450 at one point.
I probably did get. I mean, if you're 447, I mean,
yeah, it's a donut or two either way.
It's less than 1%.
It's a heavy shit.
Yeah.
On a Monday difference.
Yeah.
But we'll in the next show we'll go into more detail as to what's been going on with that. We got some other. We may have some guests in the next 2 or 3 shows, so we'll get into that too. we'll leave that as the cliffhanger. All right. Thanks for listening. Hey, like, subscribe, comment, share. I want to thank Adam Chubbuck with TACMD.com. That's TACMD.com. And we thank you for listening.